Blessed to be with you, Kay Millie in the morning, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. You're home for Fox News and the Spirit of Boise Balloon Classic just around the corner. More details on our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We've had a pretty good conversation building up to this hour of the program. If you're just tuning in, taking a look at the future of Boise State University, you've had Channel 7, Channel 2, Channel 6, Channel 9, or Channel 9, Channel 6, Channel 96, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's the same news on two channels. Interviewing Dr. Trump, and we've been hearing from the interviews, and Dr. Trump speaking to the media, and in particular responding to the letter by conservative Idaho Republican lawmakers, 28 of them, concerned about the libs, concerned about the liberal programs at Boise State. It's been fascinating to hear your reaction to these news reports. And again, let's give credit to Channel 9 on this one, or Channel 6, take your pick. Here is Dr. Trump.
Many ways in which students affiliate.
Another concern from those lawmakers is that money from the state is being spent to fund some of these diversity efforts at Boise State.
Diversity offers serves at $140,000 a year plus benefits. It's money that could be going towards education.
Those lawmakers say knowing how to interact with those of different backgrounds is something.
You say what, $140,000 a year to be a diversity officer? Who makes $140,000 a year? Now, maybe you work very hard, and that's great. The only way I would know how to make that much money is to work like 5 jobs. And isn't the university supposed to be reflective of the state of the city that it's in, that its values? Is there such a need in Idaho to pay somebody $140,000 to enforce diversity? Do police officers make that much money? Heck, let's see. The governor doesn't make that much money. His salary isn't $140,000. $140,000, that's the Mayor Beater's salary around there. Once again, the voice of reason, our great friend, soon to be the czar of New Meadows, Idaho, the beloved Tea Party Bob, with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
It's always a pleasure listening to you in the morning. I have a few comments on several of the topics that you've touched on today. I'd like to first get to the so-called manipulation of the stock market out of the way. I've spent 40 years on Wall Street and still actively trade my own account. I will tell you that there is no one entity that can control the stock market because it's way too big. Even our own government that actually has the power to intervene in the markets, should they choose to do so, don't have enough firepower in terms of money to move the types of markets we have today. If you want to blame the volatility on someone, blame it on the computers that now generate 60 to 70% of the trading on most days, and the numbers are even higher on days like yesterday. These computers trade so fast that they trade using the news that is processed through them and are pre-programmed to determine in a split second whether to send hundreds of or even thousands of buy and sell orders to be executed in a matter of seconds. You know, what Hank said about the Fed is partially true, but in essence, they have so much less control over the country and its monetary system that most people don't realize they are still carrying over $4 trillion in assets from the last recession, when they bailed out the banks and probably could not do another bailout, even if they wanted to, should it happen. The bond market essentially controls the interest rates, and currently yields are low, but you can expect them to rise as they are market-driven. When the market becomes more volatile, there is a flight to safety, both bonds and cash equivalents. I will say one thing about BSU and the rest of our colleges in Idaho. I have 4 grandchildren who have attended and graduated from these colleges and universities. They all received great educations because they were properly prepared and counseled in high school on their career orientation by their parents and high school counselors. I do feel that tuitions are too high, and we need to take care of our own children.
Let's jump in here for a minute, shall we?
Sure.
You just heard Maggie saying enrollment is up 15%. Bonnie's saying graduation rates at 40%. Tuition going up 7-8%. Is this any way to run a competent business?
No, but it's not surprising. We don't run competent businesses in this state. I've been saying that for the last 10 years. Nobody wants to take a look at it. Nobody wants to deal with it. We just continue to pay the salaries of all of the idiots who control what happens not only to us, but to our children. When are the people finally going to take this into their own hands? You know, we know university professors are overpaid and way too influential on the students attending their classes. And I reiterate once again that the root of our problem in our educational institutions has come about because we have allowed them to be taken over by liberal professors and teachers for the past 50 years. Education is now an indoctrination that starts in our grammar and high schools and just continues in college. Whether they graduated or not, they get indoctrinated.
So back to this point, though, where you have, and you know all these lawmakers, they know you through the Gem State Patriot, gemstatepatriot.com. How in the world can you have, and look, we welcome, unlike the colleges, we love the First Amendment here on KIDO Talk Radio. So you've got Dr. Trump coming from a liberal university. Her critics say she's a liberal. And look, conservatives, we want to open expression, all these things. You have conservative Idaho, allegedly. Conservative school board. Why go with a liberal?
Well, look, I think this whole thing goes back to President Custer, who I'm sure was influential in making this deal with President Trump. And I do think that the State Board of Education were behind this whole thing, and they have been for years. They have way too much control over our school systems here in Idaho. You know, we should not be supporting any benefits in the terms of what these professors are getting nowadays. You know, we pay the taxes. We're the ones who are footing the bill for this. And we're the ones who should have a say, not just in what they're teaching our kids, but the policies that go with the school. We have no say. I mean, Kevin, when is the last time somebody asked you what we should be doing in our colleges?
Oh, that's a good point. But let me get back to this though. Do you believe she's a liberal?
Yeah, I do. From everything I've read so far, I do. And seeing look, you're going to hire somebody for $140,000 a year to be a diversity?
Well, no, she inherited that.
Well, I don't care, but she's dealing with it. What is she going to do?
Well, she's defending it.
Well, of course she is.
Yeah.
But this opens the door and says, yeah, she's liberal. You know, I'd like to say one more thing. On these shootings, I will tell you that the reason we see so many of these happening is because of the notoriety the press gives these mentally ill killers who are, in most cases, one-offs. And confiscation of our guns in this country would not do as much to stop these shootings as taking the cameras, microphones, and printing presses away from the liberal media. These are the people who are the cause of these continual violent acts perpetrated by those who are mentally ill and have been able to acquire guns both legally and illegally. Stop talking about it. Stop telling people about it. Leave it alone. Because the more notoriety you give them, the more shootings you're going to have.
Tea Party Bob, gemstatepatriot.com, covering the markets to everything else. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I hope you have a great day.
You stay out of trouble, old friend.
I'll be in the valley today, so watch out.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Take care.
You know, I notice he's spending a lot of time in the valley. Maybe he shouldn't have moved.
That should already be taught at home.
I think in today's world, knowing how to handle other races and culture is not an issue.
President Trump emphasizes the importance of diversity on campus, saying different perspectives create a healthier student population.
We need people to be able to work with each other across different landscapes, whatever those landscapes might be. So it actually benefits our...
So if that's the case, hiring somebody to pay them $140,000 a year to teach people diversity. Look, you can come to the Kevin Miller School of Diversity, and I'll teach it for $10. Heck, I'll teach you, Max and I will teach it for you at the Golden Corral or Chuckarama or what have you. You know, the idea that we're dependent on institutions. What made America great? Institutions or the people that created them? That's a very fascinating take at 580-5436, and the fact that you have the former Attorney General singling out Boise State for not being friendly to conservatives, not being friendly to free speech. Isn't that more important? And now you're going to have the government teaching kids how to get along with each other. Gee, how did we do that when busing happened, Kamala Harris? Did we have people go, shame, shame, know your name, go into the timeout room? Or have we become just a nation of these folks?
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Is that America today? Not my America. And by the way, there are a lot of people, and God bless them, we wish them the best, that seek to differentiate themselves. They malign good people like you and me and others. But I'll say this, maybe it's good, maybe it's wrong. Maybe, as Mrs. Miller says, there you go again with that self-destructive tendencies, Kevin. But I think you have to talk about issues that people care about and not be censored. You will not have any other radio station or television station have the conversation we're having and have had the conversation that we've had concerning higher education. Why? There are powerful interests that are associated with Boise State. We're not bashing Boise State. We're having a legitimate conversation. And these conservative lawmakers know there is only one place with you where you can speak about it freely, because everybody else is owned by the Broncos. Nothing wrong with being owned by the Broncos. A lot of good people that work for Boise State. That's a good gig. Great benefits, great retirement, not like the rest of us. I mean, you get to wear T-shirts every day with the Broncos on it. And look, we can all be friends, but we can disagree, right? We don't have to be put into a container where all of a sudden we're saying, well, you're bashing Boise State. Nope, just pointing it out that most of the outlets in this town are owned by them. That was one of the benefits when the Broncos decided to move on from being with us. It allowed us to be free. And that's why I'd like to continue to have this open conversation concerning this diversity letter, the lawmakers, and the new president, who is welcome to come on this program at any time, and we can have a conversation. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Community for us to serve that whole diverse population.
And while 28 Republican lawmakers are critical of those diversity efforts at Boise State, other lawmakers support the programs.
Their letter was essentially a way to say, we've failed to fund higher education for the last 20 years. And so rather than effectively fund higher education, we're going to tell you what programs you should and shouldn't be doing.
Oh, Matt Erpelding, the House Minority Leader. You know better than that. You know better than that. Did you fund higher education? I think higher education is being funded quite well on the backs of people paying tuition. Good morning, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Liberal Steve joins us now. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Well, one subject that I agree with Mr. Miller on, this diversity thing is a bunch of crap. And I'm with you, Miller. I worked my way through school, 2.5 jobs all the way through. I mean, there were many times I was taking exams with only 2 hours of sleep because I was cramming for them. I mean, And the diversity thing, has anybody asked the people that are being diverse if they want to be diverse? I don't think so. I think they want to blend in. I think they want to be friends with everybody. I can't think of one black person that, well, hell, I want to graduate separate from the whiteys. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think we're a nation that's slowly coming together and learning about the diversity and everything, and a lot of the old ways are going away, which they should. But come on, a college that drops its wrestling program, is that a college? I mean,
well, hold on. That is such a great point. And remember, and you know, you're an aficionado of the media, are you not?
Absolutely.
All right. No one will touch this program, and there's only one show that held BSU accountable and continues to be a home for the wrestlers. And, you know, they're nice people. They're not stirring things up, but this baseball program is going to lose a ton of money. No one's talking about that. The wrestling program was ripped away from the people. No one's talking about that. Hey, President Trump, what about the wrestling program? No, she's at the Mariners game promoting BSU and the baseball. How much did it cost to go to the Mariners game with all the alumni in Seattle? How does that benefit people on University Avenue? It doesn't.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I'm with Tea Party Bob. And
this is uncomfortable for you. You're agreeing, but, you know, again, BSU owns this town. No one else will bring this up. You know that.
I know that, Kevin. I was part of that town for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've ruined the downtown. I only get in there once in a while, but my God, I was in there last week. Well, now I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm with you on this diversity thing, and I don't think the students want it. And let's get rid of it and move. And $140,000 for a diversity cop, that's what it is. You know, diversity officer. Give me a break. Let's get back to academics. Let's paint the blue turf pink. Let's move on in life, okay? Yeah, but you're right. It's like turning a big boat in the water now that Trump's in there, and it's going to be tough. But Idaho, wake up and get that back to a normal, a plain state school that's rough, tough, and putting out great graduates. You stay fired up, Miller.
Thank you, Liberal Steve. Liberal Steve agreeing with Tea Party Bob and the crew. Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning. Tracy, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Tracy.
Well, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to make controversial statements, but I think the position that they're trying to, put it down there at Boise State and probably at most, if not all, the college universities, it's going to remain in force depending on who takes the class. If nobody signs up for the class, they're probably going to get rid of the position. Is that a fair statement?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a campus-wide position.
So it's going to be a forced class to take?
No, I don't think it's a forced class to take. And I don't know the curriculum of maybe they do have a diversity class. No, this is an officer that, let's say I feel woke or offended, I can go to and say I'm not being diversified, and they can, seek retribution.
Okay, well, here comes the controversial stuff. I'm a mother and grandmother and have 7 children and 27 grandchildren. I believe that, kindness and tolerance and non-bullying and honorisms, they start in the home. And if they're not taught in the home, any teacher can take 5 minutes a day and teach a child how to say, please, thank you, I'm sorry. A smile is not in any language, and anyone you meet or see at the grocery store, if you offer them a smile, they're going to feel diversified. They're going to feel honored. They're going to feel a part of the society. Idaho doesn't have a hard time. The Idahoans who've grown up here for generations we know how to be thoughtful. We know how to be kind. We know how to be patient. We know how to be helpful. If the people coming into the state don't know how, just watch a little while. Go fishing somewhere and ask somebody, what's the best bait to use? And they'll tell you. Idaho doesn't have trouble with these things. Now, I support President Trump. I wasn't sure I would, but I do. But he needs to learn some mannerisms. He needs to watch his mouth. He needs to not be so opinionated in a negative fashion. He needs to think before he speaks, but so do all of us. Those are my comments.
Hey, Tracy.
Yes.
How do you remember the names of all your grandkids?
That's easy. I love them.
Wow.
You remember who you love.
No.
And you remember who you serve.
Duly noted.
Here's one more.
Okay.
Everyone who's calling and has a comment, let me ask you a question. Are you trying to serve your neighbor? Do you walk out and say hello to your neighbors? Have you thought about running for the school board? Have you thought about encouraging your children or your grandchildren to get involved in some kind of official capacity, to volunteer, to offer your spare time? We all have time that we do things, people, kindness, and tolerance. Have those classes taught through community education. If teachers don't have 5 minutes a day to teach little children and big children to say, please, thank you, how to look people in the eye and how to be thoughtful, then each one of us that want to make these comments, we need to get out of our homes.
No, that's a good point, Tracy. That's a good point. I got to run, but thank you. Okay, you're quite welcome. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Maggie, what is the definition of passion? I would say Mark from Eagle. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Well, it sounds like Ms. Trump is trying to bring another touch of West Coast campus socialism, or turn basically BSU into a bigger version, or I should say another replicated version of the Stanford-Berkeley campus system of the 60s. I'm watching as the socialist progressives are trying very hard to flip the state of Texas for the next election. And I feel very strongly that, as you and probably others out there, this is what's going on to our beautiful state of Idaho. And I want to share this with people who also are out here in Eagle who got one of these at their front door the other night. I guess Reclaim Idaho is having a town hall forum, and I think everybody needs to know this because I'm sure this is happening in other places around the valley. What it has to do is join us for an informative community discussion about the future of Idaho's ballot initiative process. So tonight at 6 o'clock at the Eagle Public Library, they're going to tell us why we should fight the legislature about this. Now, this has been discussed on this show, I guess, a month or two back. Here's my concern, Kevin, and I'm hoping that I talked to Mike Moyle about this, and I've come to find out basically that this group it is tied to the Democrat Party or Socialist Democrat Party, and it is George Soros sponsored. So what I believe, like I had told Mike, if I wanted to bring in the initiative for property taxes, let's say, I'd hate to find out as a grassroots person trying to do this like they did with the Jarvis Gann initiative down in California, that it would be harder for me to do this. But at the same time, if this group is still trying to get out-of-state influence to destroy our conservative state here, and turn it and flip it more towards a liberal progressive state like all the West Coast states are now, that's what I want to know about. I would love to see if you could get District Representative Mike Moyle on there or somebody else on there, because I want to know the truth on this initiative and this ballot bit, because I want to know whether they're basically a pawn or their leadership is a pawn and the rest are just stooges following along with a mantra that, the state's going to take our right to bring in initiatives to do this, that, thus, and so to be voted upon, or is it actually to protect what's left of our conservative state here from those out-of-state influences and try to flip us even more towards the blue. What's your thought, sir?
I think they're, you know what the Russians call those people, UIs, useful idiots.
Yes.
And look, we don't have to get confirmation. They're pawns. Idaho is now blipped on the radar of the Soros faction, and they're coming for us. And as you and other great conservatives have warned, we see it in the universities. We, see it in the city of Boise. And, the Republican Party is just kind of chilled out, and it's kind of go along to get along. And the establishment has a certain way of running things. And now all of a sudden, we've got a situation on our hands, and we could have a 50-50 state soon. Look at Paulette Jordan. I mean, Paulette Jordan ran one of the worst campaigns ever, and she got, 37% of the vote, 40% of the vote?
Right. Well, I don't. It's very scary. I texted you a picture. I found this online. Did you get from me that picture of the Hong Kong students over there, those protesters, singing the American national anthem and waving the American flag over there in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was on the internet, folks. I will trade any of you progressive socialists in this state or any part of this country and say, you know what, you want to be under the influence of communism or socialism, even over there in Hong Kong, I will take 1 million of those people and give 1 million of you socialist rats and so-called Democrats, well, you're not Democrats, you're a bunch of socialists nowadays, and send you over there to that country and let you deal and see what it's like to be under the rule of a dictating type of government that doesn't believe in any kind of freedoms whatsoever, that wants to monitor you on everything you do in your life from the cradle to the grave. And one other thing, and all the Muslims out there who think that they get a friend in the socialists out there across this country, you don't, because look what's happened to the women of Muslim influence, the Uyghurs, I believe they're called. The Chinese have been sterilizing millions of their women over there. And I've said this before, watch what happens. When the Red Chinese, feel threatened, they will advance westward, and we will see the beginnings. And if this Hong Kong thing flares up even worse, we will see the beginnings of World War III. I'll let you go on that.
All right, Mark, we appreciate it. Pro-Life, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, you're talking about public universities. Public education is a communist doctrine.
We were talking about Boise State University, and people are always entitled to their opinion, but if enrollment is up by 15%, why in the world are you raising prices? And look, out-of-state students should pay more. I would pass that on to them. In Idaho, as you know, we don't have a lot of big money people unless you're a diversity officer and you're making $140,000 a year with state benefits and free tuition and all those wonderful things. The rest of us, we're paying for that. So you want to come in from out of state? It's going to cost you extra. Give the people of Idaho a break.
I totally agree. You know, and I said before that you have to have the Board of Education, the Board of Regents for each university needs to be elected, not appointed by the governor, because the present Board of Education is liberal, and so the governor, they pick 3 people that are liberals, give that to the governor. So even if you had a conservative governor, he'd have 3 liberals to pick from.
Well, you just say, hey, this isn't good enough. And remember, that happened initially. They had, 4 people that weren't good enough, so they scrapped the process and went back again, and now they've got a new president.
Right. They couldn't find somebody liberal enough.
Ooh, so that's a heavy charge there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you even can operate at all at University of California at Santa Cruz, that is one of the most communist universities on the whole face of the earth.
Let's lay it on the line here, shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
For someone who's been in the arena, who is the cultural conservative standard bearer in the state of Idaho? Who would you have to pick? Public official? Probably public official. Who would you pick to say, this is wrong? Do we have anybody out there? I have one person in mind, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, There's nobody jumping into my mind except somebody like Tea Party Bob.
Well,
now, if an elected official, most of the elected officials are too chicken, even if they believe that Boise State is picked the wrong person, they're not going to say that because they want to get elected and they know that people that are.
Well,
so they want to play in the middle.
I think there's one person.
Yeah.
Who evokes fear in both the liberals and the establishments within the Republican Party.
Yeah, who's that?
That'd be the chairman of the Idaho Republican Party, Congressman Labrador.
Hey, now that you say that, I agree.
I mean, he says what he thinks.
I know. Now there's a couple of legislators from up north, Heather Scott, John Green. Now they're pretty good.
Right, but I'm saying that is known throughout the state and has a history. Now, Representative Green, Scott, Zito, others, they're all in Texas because there's a big convention, the American Legislative Executive Association or what have you.
Right.
I know that group. I used to cover them for quite some time. All our state reps, I believe the conservatives, they're all in Texas listening to Rick Perry. However, back to... And I've said this state is ripe for a conservative to rally the troops. I don't know, and it's fascinating because you have the Liberty people, and then you have the social conservatives, then you have the establishment. So I don't know if the Liberty people, and again, very strong, very passionate, align with that. But you're not going to find anybody that fights harder than the Liberty people.
No, of course not. And the Liberty people are right. Now, the Liberty people are kind of chicken, too.
You're calling the Liberty people chicken?
Yeah, sometimes they are.
How so?
You ever hear a Liberty person say, listen, let's just get rid of gay marriage in Idaho?
I've heard of Liberty Linda.
Yeah. You ever hear a Liberty person say, listen, let's stop transgender surgeries like we're having up at Moscow? No, you don't hear that. You hear them say that abortion is murder. We're just going to get rid of abortion totally. There's a couple that'll say that of the state legislators. The rest won't. Any of the higher-ups, the constitutional officers, they are not.
And here's another reason. Here's another thing that's happened. And you know the press pretty well, right?
I don't know. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, you know the press. They've covered you. Okay,
right.
Let's be honest. Okay, let's be real. As soon as somebody does that, they're targeted. Like that senator from Moscow. I don't know his name. He said something, answering a question honestly about abortion, and then it was headlines everywhere, targeted him, take him down.
Yeah, and then he lost.
So.
And he should still be down here. He was a great guy.
But you know who I'm talking about, right? They target people. They don't want discussion. Here's what they want, pro-life. I'm going to give you a future of what we're fighting against.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronouns?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
That guy's breathing heavy.
That's so ridiculous. That's communism. Hey, communism should be illegal.
That's America, man.
Yeah, we're allowing communism, and when you do that, if it isn't illegal to be communist, then the nation is lost. Maybe we can turn it around. But you're going to have to preach God, and the communism is illegal. Socialism is collective theft. It's illegal. And it should
according to you, everything's illegal.
No,
Wow.
To get married and have babies, have a good family, that's not illegal.
Duly noted. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So we're again taking a look at higher education in the state of Idaho, and it's refreshing. This is a unifying message here. When we take a look at pro-life, Tea Party Bob, Liberal Steve, all agreeing that higher education should be looked at. And regardless of where Boise State, Lewis and Clark, Idaho State, Idaho go, there should be some scrutiny. How many times, and let's use the stock market as an example, okay? Yesterday, the stock market took a beating, right? We got a story about it on our website and on the KIDO Talk Radio app. Took a beating. There are no guarantees when you get into the stock market. There are no guarantees when you go to work. Where else can you get a job and make big money? And I've said this before, you have a lot of young people, and we're not even talking about really young people anymore, from 23 to 38, those are the millennials. Much maligned. People rip them all the time, entitled. We got Jared in here. He's not even a millennial. He's the plurals or the Z's or whatever they call the post-millennial generation. Don't know how big they are, probably bigger than the Gen Xers, probably not as big as the boomers, right? But, what's the biggest challenge for kids today? Well, you could say vaping, you could say violent video games, but one of the biggest challenges, and it's been this way for years, student loans, ROI. And again, you go back to the stock market, you put your money in, maybe you gain a lot, which has been an incredible bull market, or you get the bear, which is what happened yesterday. Now, state universities, they're supposed to be affordable for people in the state. Now, unless you're somebody of means, you've come in. Idaho's a hardworking state. There are a lot of people that are self-made. Jim from Middleton, who reminded me of that yesterday. Right? So college at a state school should reflect the economic weight, barometer, whatever you want to say, of its state. Not a high revenue state, Idaho isn't, when we're talking median income, one of the lowest in the country. And I don't mean to bash our great state. So therefore, the universities should be affordable. Now, compared to universities in California, Oregon, east of the Great River, they are. However, and again, no one will take these guys on, and I do it at my own peril. I do it at accelerating my eventual career, working for Garrett at the real estate shop and taking pictures on the side and maybe answering your phones at DirecTV. Hey, would you like to don't cut the cord? Is this Kevin Miller? Yes, it's Kevin Miller. Please don't cut the cord. I'm cutting the cord, K. Millie, but I used to love your show. That could happen, right? But we have to express our thoughts. And the thought is student loan debt. The Attorney General singling out Boise State University. These are legitimate problems. And not to take on anybody personally, but what are the requirements of running a university? I don't know if the two presidents of the College of Idaho make $400,000. I don't know what the president of NNU makes. I don't know, really what the ISU president makes, but if I'm a kid or I have a grandkid or whatever going to school and somebody's making $400,000, let me put that in perspective. Now, if you want to go out and hustle like Dave Petzo and make $400,000 or whatever, or Tea Party Bob or what have you, yeah, I get it. But a public institution? I mean, the governor of the state makes $120,000. Isn't that right? 110, 120. The mayor of Boise makes $140,000. So what we're saying is our universities, and the University of Idaho, he makes over $400,000, whatever his name is, the new guy. That's more important than running the state? That's more important than running the state capitol? When is enough too much? You can't be a person of the people and then drive the most laid out, decked out Tesla, in my opinion. That's hypocrisy. You can't say I'm one of you and then do that, 200,000, 150,000 with their benefits. It's still more than the people that go to school make. How can you reflect your community if your compensation is so out of the solar system? Will anybody take a look at that? Let's hope so, because the kids and your kids deserve that, like you have to live with every day. We live in the world of no ticky, no punchy. We don't live in the world of we're entitled, let's take your money. Traffic and weather together with Kevin Miller in the morning. All right, Larry, thank you very much. Big ups to Jared filling in for Ray Amaya. Ray, we miss you. Jared, you continue to get better and better and help the show roll along. We thank you for getting up early. I know it's a tough one. Thank you and your family for their support. Thank you. God bless everybody. Keep the faith. Glenn Beck is next.